All right, everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning back in, man. We got another episode here today, just showing you guys how to install a fuel rail. We've already done a fuel injector install video, which was very successful. Check that piece out right here. But besides that, we're gonna be we just got the AMS fuel rail with dampener. Okay, I'm going to explain exactly what that dampener does in 1 second here and show you how to do this. Now, I do have one of the aftermarket lines. It comes with everything, just to plug and play, nice and simple if you're a stock setup, but I don't have this stock setup. So one of my lines will be getting changed a little bit, but I'll explain during that time, if you have stock lines, how to connect those. But we do have multiple installs getting put in very, very soon, not only on my car, and I know you guys are anticipating me ripping this out, which is happening very soon. We're gonna be pulling this motor and sending this up to Mazworks to get sleeved up and get it all assembled back together so we can go ahead and make big power. Stay tuned for that, but in the meantime, we've also been working on this Octane Blue one a lot, the Octane Blue Evo, and we've been doing small installs, but we have a big one coming up very soon. We just did the twin scroll sidewinder kit install on this piece, but now we have another install video coming on the ETS twin scroll top mount turbo kit. We just got this in. I just wrapped this thing up. Downpipe, the manifolds. I did run a little shy of some of the wrap here. We got our PTP blanket to match up, and we went ahead and got a Boost Lab 67R dual ball bearing turbo. It is their twin scroll setup. It's essentially a 6766 or the same kind of dimensions on it. It's an 84 rear end, the whole deal, ball bearing. We should be very, very happy with this. I actually like the Boost Lab ones because not only does it have oil running through it just like a PTP does, but like Garrett, it also has, Garrett and the stock ones, it has coolant running through as well. So you have coolant lines already going through your stock one, so we're gonna be able to just reroute those and run those right through there. It keeps that bearing and the shaft or whatever just cooler all day, especially when you daily drive your car. Okay, we also have, obviously, you see our regular heat shield, our intake heat shield, the velocity stacker intake, our upper piping, also the double wastegate. So we have two wastegates right here, our blow-off valve, which is everything's tile right here with our adapter. Obviously, like I said, you'll be getting all this installed onto a video very, very soon, so you guys can guideline with yourself with that if needed. But we also have a 3-port Grimspeed boost controller getting installed, separate video, and we also are waiting currently for this gauge pod. This gauge pod is the Ortiz Gauge Pod, which is custom made. We've been waiting about 3 weeks already, so it should be here any single day. It's the same one that I have in my car. I love it to death. It is custom, so it just takes a little bit of time to get made, but no big deal. In the meantime, though, we did get the AMS X Series wideband and boost gauge to match. Just like mine, the exact one. We're gonna be different borders on it. That's about the only difference, but I'll show you guys exactly how to put those in and install those. And most important, we also have a flex fuel kit on the way. So we have the flex fuel kit on the way. That will be getting an install video as well. So lots of stuff, 4 videos alone just in between this stuff. So definitely peep the scene when that happens. Let's go ahead and jump ahead though, after you guys see some of the preparation and other things that we got going on very, very soon. We do have our Evo right behind us though, so we're gonna go ahead and jump straight into that fuel route project. All right, let's give a little bit of a better view and explanation of this instead of on the old washer over there. So this is the AMS fuel rail, a 25% graded flow in the inside, billet aluminum construction. You see we already have a pulsation dampener on there. You can see on the pulsation dampener, it already has threads that have Teflon on them. That's not actually Teflon I put on, but rather provided on there. It's not even wrapped, it's like in there, it's like embedded in it. So when you put it on, it does its job. So go ahead and tighten this down just by hand and then give a couple cranks when it starts getting tight. Give yourself that extra little quarter, maybe half a turn there, and you should be good to go. It is billet aluminum, should withstand, but still aluminum, so don't go hammer on it. You also have your 4AN male side on this side, so make sure that is nice and tight on there. And then on this side, either your stock fuel pressure regulator with a 10mm bolts going on, and or your aftermarket one like we have is gonna just connect right back onto that after you detach that. So that's how you're gonna be connecting this. To not get ahead of ourselves into the next stuff though, let me explain this pulsation dampener to you really quick. Now this has a diaphragm in it and it literally this is how it works. So as your big injectors are opening and closing, giving kickback, when that happens, it literally gives a kickback to it, making an erratic style pressure sometimes in there when it's going open, closing, open, closing, open, closing. So what this little pulsation dampener is, it has a diaphragm inside, and it's actually taking that absorption of the kickback from the injectors. So when your injectors are kicking back and forth, the diaphragm is is dampening that effect, and it's making a more smooth, consistent flow through the rail all the time because it's being absorbed into that instead of being absorbed through the line into the fuel pressure regulator. So it just gives a more consistent flow all the time. So it's just something nice. I want to say it's like pennies to upgrade to yourself to this. You'll notice that, like the radium fuel rails and all those already have those like guaranteed, so AMS added it. Awesome. So let's go ahead and get to our next spot. Next thing is this line. All this stuff comes with it, mind you. So this line right here is what you're going to be connecting. So you have your 4AN fitting, the female fitting, or I mean the male fitting right here, and this is the female side. So that's going to go right into there. And essentially, just to give you a little boom, it's going to go like that onto the rail, and this part will go into the back over there where your stock line is. You have a stock metal line with a little like barb on the end, like a little ring almost. And what essentially, you're going to disconnect that line currently, and it's almost set up like this to where you're going to like open something up and you'll be able to slide it off of the line back there. After you do that, as you can see this white piece right here, now this white piece will get pushed from left to right on both those sides. Like those will open up. So with the open barb in the back now, you're literally going to push this over it, which naturally when you push it, it's going to push those things to the side, clip over, those white clips close again, and now you are locked in its spot. So that's how a stock line will get hooked up if that's what you have. We do not have the stock line though. So we'll be using this side obviously, but we also went ahead and sourced out another 4AN fitting because we have the inline fuel filter, which you'll see in 1 second, and that has a male side. So I bought the female side that will screw right in. This is what I'm gonna make the line out of. So essentially I'm gonna put this rail in. I'm gonna go ahead and connect this portion, measure this to that inline fuel filter, cut it, connect this line to it, and then attach it. Okay, so this is a little bit of a custom job over the other, but as I've explained the other side already, you shouldn't have any problems. The other two things that this thing will come with, which I'm not using today, are these, this is your stock fuel line bracket. So this will go right onto, essentially this is what it looks like. It basically goes on one there and then one down there. Right now you have your stock ones that are on the welded straight onto the original fuel rail. So since that usually holds a steel line going across that, they give you these little things which attach to the bottom, they hold it up, and you can connect it just like stock, just like normal, if that's what you need. We don't have any of those metal lines anymore, so we're not even using those, but if you still want to maintain and continue using your stock line that usually screws in right there, this is how you attach these things and you're good to go. All right, and that is the product. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna check our fuel pressure. I did talk to AMS on the phone before I did any bit of an install on this, since it is with a dampener. I wasn't sure, since it's gonna be leveling out the fuel pressure, if that's gonna make any bit of a difference. He told me just to check your fuel pressure before you install it and then just check it afterwards. He's not positive it'll go up or down, which we'll see in 1 second. I'm at 50 pounds, 50 PSI currently. I know that for a fact because I said it. And so we'll check afterwards to see if it adjusts anything. But go ahead and check that if before your install. But after checking that out, go ahead and jump in the cabin, and we're gonna take out that plastic tray near the knees. Just like on our injector install video, we went ahead and took that plastic tray down. You'll see a blue wire back there, and you're just gonna disconnect that blue wire for the fuel pump. After that, put your key in the ignition, start it up. It should not really even start and just completely fail out. And that means there's no pressure left in the fuel rail, and then we'll go ahead and get straight to the engine bay. Show you a better visual really quick. This is the blue wire. Again, we did this on the fuel injector install video, which you guys may have already seen, but this is the blue wire. It's just a single one, straight right there, man. Like, you can't miss it. It's right there, individual. So go ahead and unplug that after you've taken this down, and go ahead and crank this car up, making a kill. Okay, so now after pulling our blue wire and then starting up the car to get all the pressure out of the system after killing it off like that, you're gonna get a flathead screwdriver, and we're gonna disconnect the injectors first. So you're gonna take your flathead screwdriver, and you're just gonna push this little clip right here out. You're gonna push it that way, and when you do that, it takes these little sides out of their grooves, and you're able to pull it with your other hand and get the clip right up. And as you can see, like I said, right there, on the side, either side, it goes into this little cubby, and when you push up on the wire, it takes it out of that groove on the injector. So go ahead and do that on all four all the way across. But just to show you right now, we're gonna jump under. Okay, so now we took the plug off the top, and now right inside here, my finger is, there's gonna be a little clip. Be very careful not to drop it to the backside, but basically this clip, you're able to pull and spread apart on either side.
And that's what that looks like. There's a little slot on the side on either way, and when you pull it open, it takes it off of the injector, and you're able to slide this thing right off. That's what holds the injector to the actual rail. Okay, so now you've disconnected all of your plugs and your clips off the back of the injector, so now that's good to go. But before we loosen up this fuel rail, I'm going to personally loosen up my rail on this side. Now remember, I'm using the inline fuel filter, so I have a different fitting over here, but if you did, you'd usually have a line that runs all the way back here. So just disconnect whatever kind of line that you have that is back here. If there's a little clip in it, you have to put your screwdriver in and pop that up, which loosens up the sides, almost like the injectors did, and you're able to slide that off. And remember, you already have the line that's going to plug right into that after you put your rail in. On top of that, you're also going to have your fuel pressure regulator, your stock little silver one over here. I have the fuel pressure regulator, the aftermarket one. So either way though, you have two 10 millimeters. So go ahead and loosen up those 10 millimeters and take that portion off as well. Now I'm going to be taking some shop towels and tucking them under each of those spots, probably even thicker than this, because you're going to have some fuel in the systems no matter what. So I'm going to do that, and that way I can drain those off of both sides. You'll do the same thing under the injectors as well whenever you go ahead and, or under like right here where the rail meets the injector afterwards. But hopefully by taking it from the bottoms and the ends of, or the ends of both sides, you should not get too much when you take it off of this portion. But regardless, let's get it.
Success. And again, this is has fuel in it, most likely from when you started it, last time you drove it, whatever. When you flushed it out, it still had fuel in the rail. So you're gonna go ahead, and this has a little tiny gasket in the inside, so you're gonna give a little pop to it and it will get out of its groove, and then you'll leak it all over the place, and we'll get to the next. Okay, perfect. So everything is now disconnected. You have your clips on disconnected, your little prongs that hold on the rail to the injector disconnected. You took off your fuel pressure regulator side, and then you also took off your return side on the other side, or your feed side coming in. So next thing is if you didn't already do this, go ahead and pop off your little plastic clips, which is probably done by your finger. Let's see here. Bam, just like that. And same thing, you have one over here. You're able to slide those both off the rail. You might have some extra little clips, mind you. You might have those little hard lines. You just take off the 10s. Pretty self-explanatory, and just kind of loosen those things up. Again, this is not the exact from an OEM stock one, but you get the gist of it. Right after you do that and make sure everything's disconnected, you're going to go down. You have two 12 millimeters, one right here and then one right here. That's going to be the main portion that's holding this rail on. Now, right under this bolt, there's actually a spacer right here, like a little plastic-like spacer between this and the intake manifold. So after you take this bolt out, make sure that you don't lose that spacer. Again, this is something I could drop through the intake manifold and be hidden in the abyss, and good luck finding it. So just be really careful after you take the 12 out to go ahead and pull this up just a little bit, take the spacer out before you even try to disconnect the injector from the actual rail. Just try to get those two spacers out first, and you should be good to go. And then we'll go ahead and pop this rail off. Just literally, we're just gonna take it and just give it a little pop to it. Now I'm gonna hold the injector on the inside, and that way hopefully the injector stays in the intake manifold, because I don't wanna pull the whole thing out. And I'm just gonna start from this side and just give a little pop and try to do the same thing all the way down. I'll hope the best of luck to myself, and we're gonna knock that out, and then we will put on our new rail. Now giving a little pull up. Try to get that spacer right pulled out. As you can see, the spacer up close has a little lip on both of the sides. It sits in little grooves on the intake manifold and the rail. The new one will be replacing that just the same exact way. So go ahead and work on your other one, get that out. And your second one. All right, so with both of those out successfully with the spacers, now you're gonna take, just like I said, take a towel over here, and you're gonna wanna put this under where the injector and rails are, and that way hopefully you can catch any extra gas, fuel, E85, whatever you have in here on the way out. Now giving a little grab to the injector, I'm gonna pull on the rail. Okay, that didn't really work, so I'm just going to expect to have to take these all out. Regardless, you want to have that towel under the bottom. Matter of fact, going back and looking, they pretty much all just pulled right out the intake manifold. All right, now everything is loosened up. I'm actually just going to push these little towels kind of over the holes just to protect for this slight second, just so nothing falls in there. That was the dumbest way to get it through. All right, so now we have all 4 injectors pulled out. We'll get those prepared in a second here. Jumping over to the stock original rail, you see how skinny this thing is. It's absolutely ridiculous how much the power I feel like I was pushing through that. And now this is the new AMS one, man. I mean, look how ridiculous thick and difference that is than the other. And also has a pulsation damper to help out even flow. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. So now we're gonna go ahead and grab our actual injector, and each of these have a little rubber ring. If you have any little flat spots on them, go ahead and replace them. If you don't though, now you're just gonna have to get some type of Vaseline or petroleum jelly style deal, and you're just gonna lightly coat the outside of this, and that way they slide in nice and easy. Right now they're currently just completely dry. You don't want them to be dry and then try to press them in there. They could slide, it could get pushed off of this actual little groove that it's in. So get these all lubed up, and I'm gonna actually put them back into the intake manifold first, and then I'll be able to put the rail over it. Mind you, you're gonna take these little clips again, these little clips, and they're actually gonna go right back into the bottom of this. In the bottom of this, it actually has a little groove for it. I don't know if you can see it, there you go. An actual little groove in there. So just like OEM, it's gonna plug right in, so be careful. Pop those back in, pop the injectors back in evenly. You'll see me do it, but basically you just get it, after all injectors are in the intake manifold, you just slide it over, give a nice little firm press down, and work it back and forth if needed, and it'll get right back on. And then put your 2 12s back in, and then we'll get to the line. All right, great. So now we have all of these Vaselined up. Now we're gonna take this, I'm gonna put this, making sure you go the right way, make sure your plug is facing upwards. And you're just gonna put those in each of those, and then we'll take that rail and we'll place it right over it, and then just give little pushes back and forth, maybe a little wiggling to make that happen. Now that being done, we're ready to put our 12s back in. So grab your little spacers, just like this. Take your 12mm, line that straight back up. And for now, I'm just gonna get it a couple threads in, and I'm gonna work on the other side to make sure I have it on nice and evenly, and then I'll tighten both of these 12s back down. Now before I tighten these 12s back down, just in case I need to make an adjustment, I'm gonna take all my wires and tuck these back under to make sure they're all in line with the actual plug. Now with all my wires lined up, now you're just gonna be torquing these down. Now it was in inch-pounds when I had looked it up, just like when I did the fuel injector install video. So these, I just put about 4 to 5 pounds of pressure, almost looks like a wrist turn, just to crank these down, because you don't want to go ballistic and they don't need to be. So just go ahead all the way down. Let's go ahead and even both sides first, and then just a little 5-pounder, and you're good to go. So since those are all done, go ahead and reconnect all of your little plastic clips. Now mind you, when you push these back on, these will just push right over there and click on, because when you push it, it moves the metal pin to each side. So go ahead and just go like this. All your clips back on. Now we're gonna reach down here, and you're gonna take your fuel pressure regulator and either put your stock one back in, or like us, we have our aftermarket side here. So you're gonna go ahead and slide that right back in. Then line up your 2 10mm and go ahead and tighten those down. All right, so now with your 210s connected over here, all your plugs are back in there, all your clips are back in your injectors, everything's tightened back down with your 12s. We're gonna come right over here. For starters, this thing looks awesome and sleek. Now you're gonna have your 4AN male side over here, which already you have a female side that's gonna screw over that nice and simple. And ours is personally, again, I've already said it, but we have an inline fuel filter down here, which is gonna be another male side 4AN. So I sourced out a female 4AN to fit onto this in 1 second. And that's why I'm gonna be cutting the original line and making that. You're gonna see me make that, and I'll explain it really quick in a second here. But yeah, so if you don't have that though, it will connect normally to the 4AN line, and then you can count on this side over here. So 4AN line connects to the rail like normal, and then usually you'd have this little clip right here, which I explained earlier. You're just gonna push past your stock metal rail through that, and the little ring will lock in on the other side of these white pieces as these move out the way. To explain that better, let's go ahead and watch it visually. All right, so I have this stock fuel rail here, but this is gonna give you the point of it, what I'm talking about. See how I have this little ring over the edge? And again, as I said, these white pieces will push open past this. So literally you're gonna go like this and push it through, and you can see it locked right into place. Now that will never come back out unless you put a screwdriver on each of those sides at the same time and open them up like that, and you'll be able to pull that right off, which I'll do here in 1 second off of camera. And I'll go ahead now with my personal one, again, that's how you're gonna connect it into the back. I'm gonna take my personal one, connect this over here, measure how far I have to go to cut, take it back off. I'll tape this thing up, cut it, show you guys how to connect this piece right here, and then I'll make my personal line and we'll be done with the project, test out the fuel pressure and see where that's at, and we're finished. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do with my line is tuck this under here and bring this up to the rail. Now with all my extra slack, I'll be able to measure from here to here. So yeah, after you have it connected over here, you're first actually gonna wanna take your fitting right here, and you're gonna wanna put this on the end. And that way you can actually see how much you're gonna be using after you get this extension on there. So after I have my connection, I'm gonna go ahead and take this cord and I'm gonna go ahead and bring it all the way up to about this area right here, because you're gonna be taking this off and bumping it all the way up to that. So go ahead and cut a piece just about to where it separates, and then I'll be taking this off, and I'll go ahead and connect these two together. All right, so over on the table over here, as you see, I do have a Dremel with a little cutting off wheel, and I have some duct tape to tape this thing up to keep it nice and tight and wrapped together. So these, because this is like woven, you don't want it to fray when you do it, so you tape it up. And then I have the actual fitting. So you're just gonna take this and you're gonna be able to screw this right off. Now after I cut this line in a second, I'm gonna be taking this and this is the bottom of it. You'll be taking this and just pushing this right onto it, all the way down until it bumps up, and you'll be able to like twist it in until it bumps up. After that, you're gonna take this, which is tapered, smaller getting to bigger, and you're gonna be taking that and you're gonna be screwing that back down. When that happens, obviously it's going to expand inside of this tube right here and is going to lock it in. So let's get it. And this is the end product, man. As you saw, we did just cut that off. I also just snipped with little dike clippers the edge of that off just to make a nice clean connection here. You're just gonna go ahead and disconnect this piece, taking that right off, just as I explained earlier. You're gonna take this, and as I explained, you just put that right on there like a cap, and you're able to twist this right down. You're actually gonna have to give some force to get into it. All right, it's probably pretty much impossible to see, but you should be able to look inside of that afterwards, and this should be bumped up all the way to the wall. You'll notice that it'll be like skinnier, and then it hits a plateau wall. So yeah, do that, and then you're gonna go ahead, after that's all the way in, you're gonna go ahead now and just take your part, like I said, that is now, as this is happening, you want to make sure this is not backing out from itself, okay? So you could even measure this right here if you needed to, or just make sure you're holding it in a still spot, and that way, when it starts expanding, it's not pushing it backward. All right, now at a certain point, you won't be able to get it down any further, so I have that little gap right there, and then you're just going to throw some wrenches on this. AN wrenches are obviously preferable, so you don't scar this thing up, But if not, you can always take electric tape and wrap this thing up pretty good and then wrench on it, and that way it'll kind of give some protection not to scar this up, because this stuff does get damaged really easily.
All right, when it all finished up, now just to connect it. All right, and there we go. As you can see, nice and connected to the rail. I'll go ahead and tighten that in 1 second. All right, and there you have it, man. Now the rail's all in. I went ahead and took that little bracket off, cleaned it up a little bit. New AMS fuel rail and dampener installed. As you can see, this is the line that I just got done. Now it's all tightened down. It goes down nice and under that. Boom, right to the inline fuel filter. So that's it, man. Now we're gonna go ahead and start the car, check the fuel pressure, make sure it's still at our 50 that we were running before, and that will be the end of this.
Yeah.